Now at 6, more than 1,000 historic artifacts swiped from an Oakland museum's storage facility.
I think it is very possible that the people who stole these items don't really know themselves what they have.
Why the museum thinks the public could help track down the stolen items. Plus, we'll meet a North Bay grade schooler dedicated to his backyard bees.
The best decision I've made ever.
How his hives got city leaders buzzing to change regulations.
I think maybe they just thought that they'd enforce it on us and the problem would go away.
And later,
I don't even know if I would be here today if it hadn't been for music.
we'll introduce you to a domestic violence survivor using hip-hop to tell her story and inspire younger artists.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Okay, first it was crown jewels at the Louvre. Now a major museum theft right here in the Bay Area. The Oakland Museum of California says the thieves made off with more than 1,000 priceless objects from its collection. Native American baskets, jewelry, photographs, even ivory, all taken from the museum's off-site storage facility. But even as the FBI investigates, our Katie Nielsen explains why museum officials do not believe this was some sort of sophisticated heist.
The Oakland Museum of California really focuses their collections on objects used in everyday life by Californians throughout the state's history. The director says the more than 1,000 objects that were stolen are irreplaceable in terms of historical value, but don't really have a significant value on the black market.
We have really one of the greatest holdings of California history anywhere.
Lori Fogarty is the director of the Oakland Museum of California and says their collection includes more than 2 million items, only a handful of which can be on display at any given time.
So we, in our collection, have over 5,000 Native American baskets.
Most of the items in the museum's collection are stored in an off-site warehouse, which is where burglars broke in sometime late into the night on Wednesday, October 15th, or early in the morning, Thursday, October 16th.
It is heartbreaking for people who really dedicate their careers to preserving and stewarding and caring for and presenting objects of cultural and artistic importance.
Some of the items stolen include an old photograph, some jewelry, a woven Native American basket, and scrimshaws, which are ivory carvings, leading Fogarty to believe this was probably a crime of opportunity.
I think it is very possible that the people who stole these items don't really know themselves what they have.
Stealing from a museum is actually a federal offense, so the FBI's art crime team has gotten involved in the case. We spoke with former FBI Special Agent Jeff Harp about this specialized task force.
It's a small cadre of agents across the nation, probably less than 20. They have a lot of expertise in how these art deals are done, where a lot of times these, irreplaceable art pieces end up and sold. A lot of it's done underground, but these guys have a pretty good network of informants and information that allows them to track a lot of this stuff.
In 2012 and 2013, a man broke into the museum itself, stealing items from the Gold Rush exhibit both times. But police were able to catch the suspect when a pawn shop owner in Chinatown recognized a stolen jewelry box and called police. Fogarty hopes by releasing some photos of the items stolen 2 weeks ago, eagle-eyed members of the public might be able to help the museum recover them.
If people are at swap meets or they're at auctions or they're in a pawn shop or an antique store and something looks like, please let us know.
A basket. Okay. As for the Louvre heist, investigators in Paris are still trying to locate the stolen jewels. They've arrested 2 people who have admitted to a partial role in the brazen daytime heist. The Paris prosecutor says DNA evidence proves they were the ones who actually broke into the museum. Those suspects have been charged with theft and criminal conspiracy. 9 alleged members of the Oakland-based Sereno Street Gang have been charged in connection with a series of violent crimes, including 2 murders. 6 of the 9 suspects were arrested early this morning during an FBI raid on Coma Street. 2 others were arrested in custody, and officers are still searching for a 9th person. Prosecutors say the suspects were involved in the 2019 murders of 2 men believed to be rival gang members, as well as 3 attempted murders, drug and firearms trafficking. The federal government shutdown is in its 29th day, and millions of Californians are bracing for federal food aid to run out on Saturday. Today, San Francisco leaders announced a plan to ensure that no SNAP recipients go hungry next month. Mayor Lurie announced a plan to provide the city's 112,000 CalFresh participants with gift cards to buy groceries for the month of November. The city tapped into a reserve fund and partnered with the Crank Start Foundation to provide the funding for this $18 million initiative. The mayor says this is necessary for San Franciscans.
In my entire career, and now as mayor, it has never been acceptable to throw up our hands and expect kids, parents, and seniors to just figure it out.
The Department of Human Services will send out QR codes to CalFresh recipients next week. Recipients can scan those codes to download a digital gift card or request a physical card. They can be used at any grocery store in the city. One nonprofit in the city, North Beach Citizens, is helping seniors stock their pantries ahead of next month. They say that many seniors may not even realize that their CalFresh benefits won't be coming, and that while the city's plan is helpful, it may be hard for seniors to access.
We believe that there'll be a little bit of glitches. That's a big program to release in 3 days with QR codes and gift cards.
They say that they will be available to help people work through the system and get access to the funds the city is providing. Meantime, in Washington, Senate Majority Leader John Thune said that talks have been happening between senators and that an end to SNAP benefits may be pushing both sides to meet in the middle on a deal to end the shutdown. However, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said that Republicans don't seem to be offering anything different. Fire crews were out in Cupertino mopping up after a fire ripped through a strip mall. It happened overnight. The Santa Clara County Fire Department, they posted video online showing the flames bursting out of the front of the store. You can see there. Fire officials tell us 3 businesses were impacted. They say the fire broke out just before 3 a.m. on South De Anza Boulevard by Silverado Avenue. Fortunately, no one was injured. Santa Rosa has stirred up quite a hornet's nest of outrage by ordering a young child to remove a 4-H beekeeping project from his own home. The beekeeping community says officials are overreacting. And as our John Remus tells us, it appears the city may be reconsidering its position.
Nicholas Bard is 9 years old, and for 3 years, the bees he's kept have taught him a lot. But now, in the last 6 months, he's gotten quite an education in politics as well.
So here's my colony right here.
When Nicholas Bard first began raising bees as a 4-H project, he had no idea what it would do for him. How much of a learning experience has this been for you?
An incredible one. It's probably the best decision I've made ever.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that important to you?
Yeah.
He's become quite an expert on the subject and was willing to share some of that knowledge, but first we had to suit up. Nicholas says bees aren't naturally aggressive except when the hive is threatened, and they post guard bees at the entrance to keep watch. His parents help him lift the various sections of the hive when it comes time to check on the honey production.
We get involved because we've all sort of fallen in love with them, but yeah, these are definitely his bees.
We'll sit out here and just watch the bees go in and out of the hive. Just like sometimes it's our television. So it's very relaxing, very peaceful.
Worker bees in the hive are all females, and they and other pollinators are essential to plants and help produce about 75% of the nation's food crops. But a general fear of bees has led Santa Rosa to ban beekeeping. And in March, after a neighbor complained, the Bards received a letter calling Nicholas's 4-H project a, quote, home occupation, demanding that it be removed and threatening that a warrant would be issued if necessary to inspect the property. In the city's ordinance, it classified honeybees in the category of property nuisances. Considering how you feel about these, what did it feel like when they called them a nuisance insect?
How did it feel, girls? Horrible, they say. Like, it was like having one of your family members being bullied. because that's what was happening.
The Bards appealed the decision, but the city stood firm.
We had them look back 30 years, and over 30 years, they've never enforced that code.
This is the first time?
First time, yeah.
That's when the beekeeping community got involved, including Etta Marie Peterson, who mentors young beekeepers and is affectionately known as Sonoma's Queen Bee.
Dealing with Santa Rosa, I'm not sure. They've got to fix that.
Etta Marie says there are probably 100 beehives currently in Santa Rosa, and it seemed to her like city officials were surprised to even discover that beekeeping was illegal in their city.
I've traveled all over the world meeting other beekeepers.
Have you ever seen an ordinance like Santa Rosa's?
Not written like that, no.
But now it looks like there's been a change of heart, which could lead to a change in the law.
We received over 100 emails from people in support of beekeeping in the county or in the city. We decided that instead of going through that process, we were going to find a better path forward. And that path forward was a staff-initiated zoning code amendment.
Nicholas says he's never been stung by one of his bees. And while he doesn't want to say, "I told you so," well, actually, he does.
I just want to thank whoever complained for this amazing experience. I've learned so much about politics and how cities work.
What do you think works better, a beehive or City Hall?
Probably a beehive, definitely. I mean, they don't have waste. They're not bullying anybody. They don't fight at all. So, yeah.
So we can learn a lot from bees?
Yes, we can.
And from him. The city's spokesperson staff says it is now consulting with a local beekeeping group to draft a new ordinance that would allow limited beekeeping within the city limits. She says it will probably be submitted to the city council for approval sometime next year. In the meantime, though, Nicholas gets to keep his bees. All right, still ahead right here at 6. The robo-taxi market getting crowded in San Francisco. We'll tell you when Uber's autonomous rides may be available for service. Plus, we'll meet a hip-hop artist who is using her music to heal from the trauma of domestic abuse and inspire others in the process.
Looking back now, I'm like, wow, I'm really proud of that young woman, even though at the time I was so filled with shame.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's a time to shine a light on the ways physical, emotional, financial, and other forms of abuse can hurt women, men, and children. These stories are often hard to hear, but our Laureen Ayub connected with a hip-hop artist who's using her experiences to help others overcome their circumstances.
For Bay Area artist and mentor Megan Correa, known on stage as Lil MC, hip-hop has always been more than music. It has been a lifeline.
I don't even know if I would be here today if it hadn't been for music, to be honest.
Correa began making music at just 5 years old, but it was during high school, through rap, that she found her voice, using the mic to process deep pain and trauma from her past.
I underwent a lot of sexual trauma when I was younger, and that was really confusing for me. I didn't really know how to articulate what had happened to me.
That confusion would follow her for years, taking her down a path of substance abuse and toxic relationship cycles, until one moment forced her to confront her livelihood head on.
I finally had to make a choice. My friends and my family members around me, they knew I was unsafe. I almost died. And going through an experience where you're at the edge of life and death, and the only thing standing in between you and that is I was being choked, and I was able to let out one scream, and that was enough to get him off of me.
Surviving that violence changed everything. Through musical expression, she found a new way to process and release the experiences she endured.
I repressed a lot of those memories, and I didn't really accept what had happened, just kind of ignored it. When I started freestyling, the interesting thing about that is you're kind of turning off all of those cognitive muscles, I guess. You're just kind of allowing energy to flow freely through you.
The next member is gotta be Dolce, please.
Today, Correa channels that energy into helping others heal. As a mentor with Hip Hop for Change, she equips young artists with creative tools. Now, with a new album on the way, Lil MC is looking ahead, reflecting on how far she has come.
Looking back now, I'm like, wow, I'm really proud of that young woman, even though at the time I was so filled with shame. So I think freedom really looks like just having the autonomy and liberty to move on your own and not feel reliant on another person, and also not holding on to the shame and the guilt. When you're comfortable loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and then in turn forgiving that person.
With every lyric she pens, Lil MC rewrites her story and helps others do the same.
If you or a loved one needs help getting out of a domestic violence situation, you can call the number on your screen to get connected to resources or text START to 88788. San Mateo County leaders have decided to appoint a new sheriff instead of holding a special election. So the split 3-2 decision comes less than a month after the Board of Supervisors removed Sheriff Christina Corpus from office over allegations of corruption and abuse of power. Yesterday, a judge rejected Corpus's petition to halt the replacement process while she challenges her removal. Supervisors plan to host at least one public meeting where candidates will be interviewed in front of the community. Applications for sheriff are open through November 5th. All right, some more competition for Waymo. Uber is joining the robo-taxi game right here in the Bay Area. It's teamed up with electric car manufacturer Lucid and tech company Nuro to create and test its own autonomous vehicles in San Francisco. Uber will be testing up to 100 vehicles to start. If all goes well, we may see them accepting fares as soon as next year.
Jules, it was a warm day, especially for inland parts of the Bay Area, where temperatures reached up to about 5 to 10 degrees above average, full 10 degrees above normal in Santa Rosa, with high temperatures reaching into the low 80s. It's back to normal tomorrow, but then a warm Halloween in store. We'll look ahead to the first weekend of November as well, coming up in First Alert Weather.
Drone video from Jamaica. It shows the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. You can see right here, these images show flooded streets and neighborhoods where you can see roofs of homes just poking up out of the water. Melissa made landfall in Jamaica yesterday as a Category 5, the strongest in the island's history. Winds were clocked at 185 miles per hour. Dozens of people were killed in Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti. Jamaican officials say they hope to have the airport open tomorrow for emergency supplies. So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan, who has been tracking Melissa's path.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable storm, and it's not done producing damaging, even dangerous weather in the Caribbean and now the Atlantic Ocean. So we're zooming into the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. That's Cuba there. We're going to be looking at this satellite replay of Melissa over the course of the past 6 hours. And the storm isn't nearly as organized, nearly as powerful as it was when it slammed into Jamaica or when it slammed into the southeastern coast of Cuba last night. It's still a Category 1 hurricane, though, and all the white and purple here indicates the taller cloud tops, indicating some intense thunderstorm activity largely over the Bahamas, but also impacting Turks and Caicos, down to a Category 1 hurricane, 90-mile-an-hour sustained winds. That's half, less than half, of where those maximum sustained winds were when it slammed into the south coast of Jamaica. Let's open the window a little bit wider here, though, because the storm is going to pick up speed and race off into the Atlantic Ocean. Here is the forecast path for Melissa over the next several days. You notice how the icons are kind of spaced out? When the storm was creeping along, they were all packed together because every 12 hours it was just moving about 50 miles or so. Now it's going to be racing towards Bermuda. That's that dot right there. It's going to bring tropical storm force winds to that island nation, unlikely to bring hurricane force winds. Those are going to stay just off to the west, and also the heaviest rain is also likely to stay just to the west of Bermuda. Zooming in for a closer look here and tracking it. There it goes, just barely off to the west with that most intense wind and the most intense rainfall. The whole storm system being steered farther off the east coast by a storm system that's going to bring some active weather to the eastern U.S. for Halloween. Let's talk about our weather around here. What we're seeing out there, well, nice post-sunset skies. We look out from Black Mountain. It was a warm day, and it's still warm right now in Concord at 80 degrees. Other temperatures, 60s around the Bay in San Francisco and Oakland, with 70s farther inland. We'll drop down to the 40s and 50s by early tomorrow morning, which is typical territory for this time of year. As we head through the next 12 hours, we are going to track the return of at least some fog. Let's take a look at that on Futurecast. There's hardly any of it out there right now, but it's going to start reforming at the coast, likely after midnight, and making some push across the bay. Not a lot of it out there, but more clouds higher up in the atmosphere as well, combining to obscure the sun for the first couple hours of daylight, and that's going to put the brakes on the warm-up that's going to try to kick in as we head through the day tomorrow. So temperatures are going to be back to what's normal for late October. What does that mean? Mostly 70s inland. These temperatures all within a degree or two of average, reaching up to 72 degrees in San Jose. Temperatures east of the Oakland Hills in the low to mid 70s. But these are the warmest spots, 75, 76 degrees. Mostly 60s around the bay, 70 down the peninsula in Redwood City, with low 60s closer to the coast, and temperatures in the North Bay also in the low to mid 70s. We look at the dog walking forecast for tomorrow. We get dogs in costumes because we're getting close to Halloween. Hachiko is determined to find out for Halloween if gentlemen really prefer blondes. Regardless of fur pigment there, temperatures are going to be comfortable for a walk if you want to get out and about for that tomorrow. And temperatures are going to be comfortable for Halloween as well. We warm back up just a few degrees above average for the first weekend of November. Our next rain chance moves in by the middle of next week. We had that in the forecast already by Tuesday in yesterday's forecast. Now it's been pushed back by a day. Looks like Wednesday and Wednesday night, the most likely arrival time for that next round of rainfall. Doesn't look too intense at this point, but that's something that's pretty far down the line, still a week away. So we'll keep you updated on that as we finish off the month of October and head into early November with 1 extra hour of sleep Saturday night or extra hour of partying, whatever.
Or, sleep.
Sure. I would like sleep, yes.
Yeah, nice color combo once again. Very good.
Mind meld.
Yes.
Frightening.
Yeah, very. Okay, spooky. When we come back, speaking of which, a new Halloween tradition is born outside San Francisco City Hall with a special visit from the Valkyries. Beautiful colors out there, and Halloween just 2 nights away. And today, San Francisco's Civic Center Plaza hosted its first ever pumpkin patch. The city invited more than 850 kids from the Tenderloin for a day of pumpkin picking, trick-or-treating, and arts and crafts. Players from the Golden State Valkyries, they even showed up to join in on the fun.
Just to, again, be someone that young kids can look up to. I think that's a goal of mine, to just leave a long-lasting impact. And so in every way, on the court and off, I just try and be that kind of role model.
Love it. Many of the kids left the event with autographs and smiles on their faces. CBS Evening News is next. Local news continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. We're back in 30 minutes at 7 for news just for you.